everybody. Welcome to our first online Finch Society webinar or Zoom. Anyway, I'm Sally Huntington, President. This is
Antonio Rodriguez, Vice President.
And we're the two managing it today. Okay, now I go down to next. This is the agenda pretty much for today. We're gonna update you on what's going on as though we were in a general meeting. Right now, the financial status is we have $10,021.08 in the bank account. Thank you, Mike Smith, who helped us with that. And he's actually the treasurer right now. Current membership is 132. Thank you, Marilyn. She's our membership person. And kind of speaking of memberships, all membership paid dues for this year, 2020, will be honored for 2021. Just kind of so you know that. Only members can advertise on the want ads for wanted and for sale. You can go to the membership, the website membership, and there's some, you can put the whatever you want or have for sale on that.
So birds wanted and birds for sale.
Yeah.
And please be explicit of what you want and what you want to sell.
Yeah, you don't have to put prices.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to, yeah. Okay, and at the end of our meeting today, we're going to give away a pair of, gee, I feel like this sale thing. What is it on TV? The where you sell things. But anyway, we're going to give away a pair of black-headed Goulians. One pair, young pairs.
They're about outside. 6 to 7 months, outdoor raised, not related, and it's black-headed, purple-breasted, male and female, one pair.
Yeah, and Eric's going to choose it randomly, so we'll see what happens. Okay, and they're free, so there you go. Anything else that you want to mention in the general meeting?
Not at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to do, for any of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to do a kind of a quick presentation of hand rearing foreign finches, because we can't do any native finches, so it's all foreign finches. And why should people hand rear? To save a baby. When babies are tossed out, it's been cold. If you don't hand rear it, it's going to die. So you have a 50-50 chance of saving a baby.
When you hand raise them.
When you hand raise them.
Also, they become also much more attached to you.
Yes.
As a rule.
Yeah.
And also, they become a better pet.
Yes. I have this one picture of a little baby hatching just because it was in an incubator. Whoops. Well, you can tell I'm not used to this one. Okay.
Bear with us today,
there.
please.
Yes, I'm still a rookie at this. Yikes. Oh, I really went down far. Now I don't know where I am. Okay. Have to start all over. Yikes. Eric?
He's our technician.
Our technician.
Extraordinaire.
I screwed up and went the wrong way. I'll go back to the top. All right, I'm going to get better at this. Anyway, to save a chick, I'm going to pass up the hatching chick. Or to save a rare bird, this one I raised last year, and the parents had tossed the baby, so I hand reared it, and there we go. Right now, I don't know how many birds are going to be imported from the wild. Certainly, they're going to be imported from Europe. Scott Golden said kind of what you're raising now is going to be what's going to be available for maybe forever. We can learn a lot from raising the birds. This is a pair of black-naped fruit doves and their baby. They always have one baby at a time. And some make great pets, like Antonio was saying. This is a mass grass finch and a mouse bird. So The foreign things that are real important, and the most important, is warmth, hydration, feeding, pooping. Warmth is the most important thing. Do not feed a cold chick. A cold chick needs to be warmed up because the body's shut down and food starts to spoil in the crop as you warm it up. So that brings us to, here's the heating options, including your hand or even a warm friend.
Mm-hmm.
I've resorted to a volunteer, either society or zebra. I keep them in a basket for about 10 days or in little tissues. I've kept different things. There's a black nape fruit dove. I don't know what the other two are. I also have upgraded to a Brincia brooder. It's a little easier to monitor, keeping the temperature steady and regulating it. I use the facial tissues as diapers and sometimes Care Fresh or something that their little feet can grab onto after about 10 days old. All right, second thing is after they're warm, and they've been warm for a while, now you want to hydrate them because you want to clean out their whole system and get it running again and get that old food out of there. You can use bottled water, Pedialyte, Polyade Plus, or something like that.
But it needs to be at least room temperature or warmer, right?
Room temperature, not warmer
Okay.
necessarily. Yeah, room temperature, good point. And then once they've hydrated and you've had it go through a little bit, I usually hydrate them and clear out their crop about 3 times until their poop is clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that way you've literally cleaned out the system. Then we move on to, after their system's all cleaned out, to the feeding equipment. You can use different things. People have used even little toothpicks or syringes or eyedroppers. Any kind of hand feeding formula is appropriate. There's a lot of different brands. I happen to use Missouri, and I combine Missouri and an insect one for the birds that are real insectivorous. I do try and feed it warm, but just warm, not real hot or you'll burn their crop. And cold, I sort of figure it's hard for them to digest.
So how do you test it like on your, because I've seen you do that, like with the
Yeah.
dropper on your hand?
On my wrist.
On your wrist, and so, because that's more sensitive?
Yeah.
So if you do that and it's too warm, you have to wait?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just wait. It's better to wait than burn.
Right, so in other words, you drop it, so if it feels like, what?
I a lot of times just put my finger in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Into the food?
Yeah, into the food to see if it's,
Okay.
and I err on the cooler side.
Right, okay.
And only feed a begging chip. Only feed a begging chick. And because if you don't, if you try and force feed them, you'll definitely asphyxiate them. And you see, you just tap it on the side. Can you tell I have dogs?
Yes, they're little ones, thank God.
Yeah. All right. And here's feeding a little owl finch with a pipette. Then they'll kind of suck on the end of the pipette or whatever you're feeding them with. They will do kind of a sucking.
Now, as far as getting started, you know, I mean, I've done it. I actually enjoyed it when I did do it, and it's been quite a few years. Where do you get the pipettes?
I buy them now on Amazon.
On Amazon. And no, I think you said you want them sealed, each pipette, right?
I make sure they're sterile.
And the only way they're sterile is that they're sealed.
If they're sealed and that they're safe for scientific experiments.
Okay, you guys got that? Because that's important.
Yeah, and they're disposable, so I use them as often as the same one as often, 3 or 4 hours while I'm feeding.
So for the day, or you said 3 or 4 hours, half of a day?
Every time I change the food, I change the pipette.
And how many birds do you think you feed with one pipette?
Whatever little group I'm feeding.
Okay.
whatever's in the same nest.
Because sometimes you have like 15 of them.
Oh, I've never had that many.
Really?
No, not
Your
that I'm
little
feeding.
basket? Really?
No, only usually, I think the most I've had at any one time has been 4.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm confusing with Scott Golden.
Yeah, he might have
Like
done
50.
more. Yes, yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, sometimes you can people weigh them. I did at the beginning, and they obviously should weigh more in the evening than in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And here's another pair. I think that's purple grenadiers
Uh-huh.
on the right, and on the left, the pair of zebras. And again, don't force feed a chick, or you'll aspirate them.
Should we say something in regards to people having questions that they can type in, and at the end we can address them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So good.
All right. And our guy agrees, our tech guy agrees. That's important. All right. So now we're feeding it. How often do you feed them? I find about every 3 to 4 hours. You want the crop to just about empty out, even though they're begging every time you look at them.
Okay. Since I'm here, I can ask this question.
Yeah.
So do you have an 8-hour sleep, or do you get up in the middle of the night to feed the babies?
No getting up in the middle of the night. Moms don't. Moms and dads don't. Neither does Sally.
Because I know of people who do that.
Yeah,
I've never done. I used to do that until I think you or Scott told me why.
Yeah.
And I did not see a difference. But then I was primarily dealing with Gouldians and parrot finches.
Yeah, you wouldn't see
And
it.
I did not see a problem.
No, actually it gives them the time to really clear out the system over the night.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, and I figured them about 10 to 12 hours. And they should be in the dark.
Got it.
Yeah, so when you're doing that at night.
But heated.
Heated, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what type of pad? You're going to go over that.
The what?
The pads for heat.
I did go over that already.
Right, but at what temperature?
Oh, I start out at 100, but now they shouldn't be directly on 100.
Right.
Kind of with the brooder, I start out at 100 and go down to 88.
But the brooder has a hydration of some form.
No, I put a little dish of water.
You do, okay, because I remember, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So poop, what goes in needs to come out. They're not pooping, there's a problem. And to the right, the lower right is the ideal poop. You want it with some shape, and they're doing okay. So if a chick is real lethargic and doesn't seem to be right, and it's still begging, hydrate it for a couple feedings going back to with Pedialyte or Polyade Plus or just bottled water, and flush out the system again.
Okay, those 2 products, you get them on Amazon, is that what it is?
Pedialyte you can get at the grocery store. It's for babies.
Oh, okay, all right.
And get the unflavored.
Okay.
Yeah, and Polyade Plus you can get on. Now you can get everything on Amazon.
Got it.
All right. Other problems. All right. Sometimes they have loose stools and they have no shape. So you can use in the food, I put just like a pinch of doxycycline. And then usually what comes along with, if they've got loose stools, they often get the yeast in the crop, which looks like cottage cheese. It's lumpy looking in the crop. And then I use a couple of the grains of something like metastatin. And I do that for probably 1 day. And once the stools have tightened up, then you're good to go and we don't use it anymore.
So if anything, the doxycycline do less than more?
As far as
the amount that you put in, because I see a few grains.
Yeah, it's just like less than you would even salt something.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's really little. If you follow directions on it, it's when you feed it to a bird in water.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very
the same
little.
thing.
Yeah. Again, hydrate. poop. Don't force feed a chick. You know, crop needle, you can if you're really good with a crop needle, and you go as you're holding the chick in your left hand and you're sticking the needle or in the chick's mouth, go a bit to the right, and you can actually see the tip of the needle.
Right.
That's rounded, that rounded edge, you can kind of see it in the crop.
Uh-huh.
Oops. Okay, so here we go. Now, every once in a while with a soft bill, soft bills poop every time you feed them, and they have to feed often. They feed at least every hour, and then after about 4 or 5 days, they can go every 15, 20 minutes if you'd let them. But they poop every time you feed them. The minute you feed them, they poop. If they're not pooping, then you do the old sitz bath. If you've ever had, in the old days when people had hemorrhoids.
Oh dear.
And they did sitz baths to relax the whole situation.
Okay.
And it works.
So the water would be room temperature, slightly warm?
No, the water would be about 90 to 100 degrees.
Okay.
And you hold them there, and
how long do you hold them in?
I usually do about 2 minutes if I can.
So just not the whole baby, but just the butt.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Just the vent.
Okay. And what's in it? What's in the water?
Just water.
Just water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've got to happen to have a thermometer here to make sure that it stays warm. Because the minute it starts to cool down, you're out of business.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't tell you I had a picture of the bird pooping.
Okay.
I passed on that. If food's too warm to the touch, it can kill them. Environment under 100 degrees, it can kill them because they get cold and the food spoils. You can raise a lot of babies together. And this is kind of an odd combination.
Those are all babies.
Those are all babies. That's a black-naped fruit dove on the right, the behind of a society, and then the next is a messia, and then at the end, it's another society.
Oh my God, I did not notice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's 4.
4. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's very funny.
Yeah, and they all snuggle up together.
Yeah, at night.
Yeah. Oh no, even during the day.
During the day,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And they become friends with each other. The mouse-grass finch and the mouse bird became very good friends. How good of friends? They had a lasting friendship and they wanted to cross species themselves. But it didn't go anywhere. And if you're doing something different and it works for you guys, absolutely, if you're raising them, you're doing it correctly. I don't know if I can, Eric, when we get the red-headed finch to sing or not?
You mean that video?
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe.
Anyway, what's the end, but all right. What's it say? What's your
It didn't say anything?
oh
Go ahead. Oh, can you
question? Anyway, some of the birds that you hand raise will learn a few words and can talk a little bit. One of the red-headed finches that I raised, I taught him to say thank you very much. I had another one that I taught to say, because I raised him over Thanksgiving, turkey. So he said turkey, turkey, turkey. So anyone have questions? How do we do that? Our technician, Eric, is here.
And I'm responding to Roseanne.
Okay. Okay, the first question is, how do I know if the baby bird is fake begging and not really hungry? They don't fake beg. Well, they do, I guess, if they're full. But you look at the crop. The side of the crop is, you can see it. It's kind of fleshy colored, and it shouldn't be more than 1/4 of the inch the size of the head. quarter of an inch, quarter of the size of the head of the finch. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're doing another question here.
There you go.
Okay. What are the laws pertaining to wild finches, primarily California laws, such as the house finch? It's illegal to keep or catch any of the native birds or migratory birds that go through the US. And it's pretty strict.
Through the area.
Through any of the United States.
Really?
Yeah. That's a Migratory Bird Act.
Okay. So what's going to happen with spice finches, because now they're becoming localized in this area?
They're not native.
They're not native.
No.
Right. They're from Asia. But I mean, if once they establish roots, that's...
No, that's okay. Like you could do English sparrows.
Mhm.
You could do the starlings, I believe didn't originate here.
Right.
Right. So you could do
They're
starlings.
European.
They're European. But they're not, you can't do any native birds to the United States.
Okay.
Or that migrate through the United States. Okay, next question is, do you feed different breeds together or keep them separate? You know what, I do keep, if they're about the same age, I keep them together just because that kind of adds to the familiarity and the coziness.
It's fun, actually.
Yeah, yeah. All right, next question is, do you sanitize the bird feeding and equipment? No, I wash it, and I only use, every time I change the food, which I usually do about 3 times a day and make fresh food.
Uh-huh.
I give it the old sniff test too,
Right.
just in case. And I change at that time when I'm going to make fresh food, I wash and clean it out real good and then use a fresh pipette.
What kind of bird is this? Sorry.
That's a rare, long-eared, long-feathered, finchadoodle. No, finchachawa, one of those rare breeds.
Hey, sweetheart.
Okay.
Put you back down.
So next question is, how do you sanitize? We got that one. How often can you reuse the hand feeding tools? I change them every time I change the food.
You dispose of it.
I dispose of it. That's why I get the disposable pipettes.
Right.
They work best for me. Otherwise, if you weren't using that, if you were using
The metal.
a metal or a eyedropper, I would clean it thoroughly with soap and water, just like you would clean anything else.
And some people would probably, how would they sanitize it though? Just with
Soap and water.
That's
Yeah,
it? That's
yeah,
enough?
yeah.
Okay.
Does
I've never done it. I've
does
done
the
disposable.
COVID.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. All right. And next question is, any humidity? Well, especially when it's dry, I do put a little a container with paper towels and wet it and put it in with the box if we're having the Santa Ana condition.
Okay.
Or in the brooder. Once they're once they don't need the heat, about they're 15 days old, I don't worry about the humidity. Mm-hmm. Just the newly hatched and the under a week old.
Read the question. I don't think you said the question.
Okay, I'll read the question then. What if the crops is empty, but they don't want to eat? Then I would tap the side of their beak. You just tap it and see if they'll beg. Usually they will eventually. They may have to wait a bit, but they usually will beg. And go to the other side if they don't tap that, or kind of flick it in front of them. Or even my finger, I've used my finger. Sometimes you have to be patient about it. It can take a few tries. All right, next, I've got to put my glasses on for this. All right, next question is, what do you do with baby finches in trouble, such as when a tree trimmer runs into a nest.
Oh,
Ugh,
nightmare.
yeah. Well, you can take it to the wildlife rescue.
You can, or if you know what you're doing, like that just happened to my next door neighbor where I live, and they were mourning doves. And believe it or not, I actually put him or her in with several doves that I have, and they cozied up, and I actually let it go today. And it's around the aviary up in Fallbrook, you know, so it's around, so it has food outside. I just want him to go back to, you know, nature, because it's a mourning dove, and I know it's going to stick around for a while. So what I'm going to do is have water. I'm going to have feed where he or she knows where to go and get it. And hopefully that'll help acclimate them back to the wild, because this is a good time to do that before it gets cooler.
Well, speaking of mourning doves,
Yes.
you know how I ever got into this? The interest into birds?
Really?
The technician,
Uh-huh.
our IT guy, when he was about 6 or 7, brought home a little mourning dove that was in the street and probably about 8 to 10 days old. So he brought it in, we fed it, got it all feathered out, put it in a cage, and now it was time to let it go. So Eric took the bird outside, put it in his hand, you know, with the little tears, said, bye. We named him Hawk. Bye, Hawk. Well, it was about 10 minutes later, Hawk was back.
Oh, yeah.
Hawk came back. So
Yeah.
Hawk lived, 25 years?
Really?
25 years.
Really? Okay. Wow.
They live 4 to 6 in the wild
Yeah.
and over 20 in captivity.
Wow. Wow. I knew that there was up there. I didn't realize it was 20.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God, 25.
Old Hawk the dove. And he stayed friendly and he was really cute.
Yeah, they usually do.
All right, next question is, so I think I answered your question. You can either try and raise it or take it to the wildlife rescue.
They do a pretty good job. Actually, some of them are.
And you have to be careful bringing it in. At that time, I didn't have any birds, but I would not bring a wild bird into my aviary because you
Great
have
question.
no idea what it has.
I took a chance.
Yeah.
But it was the doves which were separate.
Yeah, no, I would not
Yeah.
bring it in close to any of my other birds. Okay, next question is, how about transitioning to food? How do we know when it's time and how do you do so?
Great question.
Great question. Well, sometimes if they had their way, they would stay babies forever. But they start pecking at things. And one of the things I do put in when they're perching and they're starting to lose their little baby corners, I put in a millet and they'll start pecking on that. And I
Spray
still
millet?
spray millet and I still kind of feed them, but eventually they do quit. Although Marilyn Smith had one that never quite quit, but usually they do. They'll quit taking the food.
Yeah.
All right, next question is this being, where is it? Is this being recorded and will it be posted on the web page? And our IT guy says yes, thumbs up.
And he means business.
Yeah,
He'll do
and he
it.
knows what he's doing. What's the youngest I can raise a baby bird? What about the oldest bird? Well, the youngest, it's a great question too. I've raised him from hatching because I have a incubator. So I've raised him from the get-go. As far as the oldest, if they're feathered out, a lot of times, let's see, I would say, because I close band them when they're about 2 weeks. If past 2 weeks, it's pretty hard. If they don't beg, forget it. You're not going to be able to hand raise them. If they beg, in your hand, then you're in business. Who do I bring them to if it's illegal for me to raise them? Again, the wildlife. What's the wildlife group? It's just wildlife?
Wildlife, yeah.
Wildlife.
I think it's part of the Humane Society now, or an
Okay.
extension to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we'll find that information.
yeah. What's the easiest finch to raise? What about the hardest and why? The easiest probably are society finches,
And
zebras. Yeah. And actually Goulians
Yeah,
are
pretty
fairly
good.
easy.
The
as
smaller ones are the hardest.
Yeah, they are.
Like the wax bills, like the gold breasts.
Yeah, I've never hand fed a gold breast.
Yeah.
I've hand
I've
fed.
tried.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't work too well.
Purple grenadiers weren't exactly easy. They weren't quick feeders. But you're right, the smaller wax bills. I remember I tried the
Because it's
black and
so
white
hard to maneuver in your fingers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and to get the little pipette to get to. It's,
Yeah.
they're tiny.
They're very, very tiny. Yeah. All right. And the next one is, Eric's pointing them out to me. When do you wean them off hand feeding? Well, they kind of wean themselves. So
How many, for example, with Goulians, probably 40 days?
I would say they do kind of wean themselves. They start picking up the food.
Except for the Maryland situation.
Except for Maryland society that never gave up.
They wanted to be fed all. That's a rare
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. So 5 or 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
About the same time they're leaving nests usually.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, I have to, what's the next question? When is it safe to introduce babies to adult finches?
Depends on the finch.
Well, yeah, it does.
In a situation.
It depends upon the finch. And I wouldn't introduce a baby, boy, to the adult finches. If it's a Goulian or a zebra, I don't think I'd introduce it till it was totally, the little baby corners were gone. It was full flighted and not in a terribly small cage. In a full flight, they'd probably be fine. It would only be in the summer. What do you think?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're talking finches, but if it's like grass parakeets, depending on what they are, it could be different. I've known people who had good success and then went to put them into an aviary that was that they were breeding like forks, and it was a disaster.
Okay.
They started to try to kill the new babies.
Yeah.
So it's not during breeding season. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but other birds, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on how territorial the finch is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some aren't very territorial, and then some that you wouldn't think would be territorial are.
But best time to introduce is when it's not breeding season.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the best way to look at it.
Because they're totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Last question.
Okay. When are they ready to add a band? And when is it too late? Well, if you're doing a closed band, it's about 10 days is pushing it.
7 as a rule.
7?
7, 8 days is when I used to do it.
Okay. And 10 days at the very least.
At the least.
Yeah. As far as the open bands that you can. Anytime, yeah. Depending upon the kind of
But
band.
again, if it's closed bands, it would be 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
You know, but the open bands anytime.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also depends on species, because sometimes, like with a lot of wax bills, they kind of you band them and
Bands fall off.
well, no, they don't want to go into the nest.
Really?
Yeah, because
I
you're.
haven't had that problem.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They won't go back into the nest
They'll feed them and then stop feeding them.
if they have a band on?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've shoved them in the nest?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think they can scent,
Yeah.
your scent in there, and they're like, mm-mm.
Well, you
So
removed
that's-
it and then you
yeah.
put it back.
So
It's
that's that's why people start to use a lot more of the open bands.
like, okay. Okay. And we're at the very end. A reminder also that I'm reaching across here. The next webinar will be Sunday, and we'll do it online again, October 25th.
There's some more photos in here, by the way.
Oh, I do have more photos? Oh, I was going to mention this. Frank Trump from Northern California uses this tofu mix. And some of the birds love it, some don't. But I've been trying it, and some feed the babies it, so it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to keep it refrigerated, and except for the day you have it out.
Right, and not in the sun.
No, probably not in the
No.
sun. No.
I
No.
went somewhere where someone thought it was good to put their food in the sun, and it was spoiled, and they were losing babies.
Yeah, no, that's not good. So, should we announce the winner?
If still some more photos.
Oh, that's enough.
Okay.
That was a picture of my aviary.
Okay, so the winner is,
Oh, Bob Irwin.
yes,
Yeah, Bob.
Bob. We're gonna have to coordinate
Yeah,
so that you can get the pair of Gouldians. So again, they are a black-headed pair of Gouldians, normal.
yeah,
So,
they're young.
and they're about 6 to 7 months old. So I need
Okay.
to get them to you soon because of where you live so that they can acclimate to the weather up there.
Yeah.
All
And
right. Thank
Very
you all
good.
so much. We're learning a lot. Thank God for Eric, who saved our butts.
yeah, well, this
And-
wouldn't be possible without him.
And so we're learning a lot through this process. I think we need to hear from you guys in regards to,
Subjects do you want us to discuss or present?
yeah,
And we'll see if we can pull something together or a speaker.
right. And what else what about,
There are some legal things that are coming up.
that are really important?
Yeah. And I'll make sure it hits the website. If you are raising any of these birds, red-legged honeycreeper, banana quit, Asian rosy finch, black-brown solitaire, European robin, or pink-footed goose, contact Steve Duncan. His name will be on the,
This information will be on.
his
the website.
information will be on the website. There's a lawsuit against the Fish and Wildlife Services about allowing people to raise them. We were talking about that a little
Right,
earlier.
yeah.
Yeah. All righty.
And we're trying to, I guess, communicate more through the website, especially during this trying time.
Yeah.
So everybody, please be safe
Yes.
and be kind to yourself and other people around. And thank you guys so much for participating. We know it was kind of last minute, but we were just really trying to get in. And some of us have been incredibly busy, incredibly busy.
Yeah,
So sorry about that. But thank you all, and you have a great Sunday. Be nice. Enjoy today. Bye.
Bye.